Paul Curtis, Clarko, raring to go, mate?
Excited, yeah. Like, he was having a great year. Unfortunately, leading into that suspension, that's just upset his year a little bit. But yeah, he's back now, and yeah, we're excited to have him back. He's a really important player to our side, and he's really emerging as a prominent player in the competition, which is pleasing for him, but really pleasing for us.
Did you get any feedback, or do you think the coach will get feedback on? I mean, a couple of weeks ago you raised the issue that it shouldn't have been a suspension. Has the AFL sort of come to the party at least to say, look, we'll look at that sort of thing later on?
Well, I think Laura went public when she said that there's probably a flaw in the system. There's just somewhere in there. There's just not scope for a sort of 2-week suspension or a 1-week suspension on these sort of tackles. And I think the whole competition could perhaps, and even we thought he should have got off altogether, but we could sort of half cop. Oh yeah, we understand what they're trying to do, and you might get a week when these are genuine accidents in the game, but. You know, for the system to not allow that to be the case, and it's a 3-week ban. You know, I think the whole competition was sitting back and saying, "Geez, that somewhere that needs to change." So, I'll be pretty certain there'll be some sort of modification to that grading system or whatever with the MRO at the end of the year. And my argument was, if you know that it's flawed now, change it now. You know, there's other things in the game that we've changed mid-term. I can remember in 2008, for goodness sake, they changed the amount of boundary umpires that you'd have at about around 19 or 20. And all of a sudden, because there's 4 boundary umpires, the ball's getting thrown in, and the rucks were still in the defensive half of the ground. They just couldn't get to the stoppages. These changes do have an impact, but we've made changes like that before in the game. And if you think it's a significant enough change, like the argument to the AFL was that what if the Paul Curtis thing happens to a team in the finals and a player in the finals, first week of the finals, and they miss 3 weeks because of it? You know, that'd be a real injustice, I feel. So anyway, they'll address it at the end of the year. It's done and dusted for us. We've got Paul back now, so we're pleased that he's back. We're just unfortunate he's missed the last 3 weeks.
Was it a topic of conversation at the pub this week with Andrew Dillon?
No, it wasn't. We spoke about a lot of things, but that one didn't come up. But I'd said my piece 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that's all you can do. When you think that there's injustice in the game, you try to make the AFL aware of them. There's just so many nooks and crannies in the whole game. You know, we're trying to have as equal a competition as we possibly can, but it's unbelievably competitive, and there's just so many things that pop up in the game. It's very, very difficult. There's 18 teams in the comp, and there's always something going on. And we very, very difficult for the AFL to be on top of every particular issue in the game. They do their very best, but yeah, it's a very, very demanding game.
What was the hot topic at dinner?
There's a whole number of things. I think Scotty's addressed it mainly early in the week with his press conference. It was just around a lot of the stuff around the soft cap and how we can support different areas of the program, whether that's in welfare, whether it's in recruiting, whether it's in coaching, whether it's in pre-season camps. There's a whole heap of things that the soft cap have just diluted the effect of our programs, because we just haven't got the money to be able to spend in those spaces. So we've addressed that. The AFL are aware of it. They're trying to work out how they go about it to actually make it a lot fairer. And probably the thing that was the push of the argument from the coaches the most was that so many other areas of the industry have actually returned from their post-COVID and post-soft cap impact and cuts to return to the prosperous way that the competition has recovered from since COVID, but the football soft cap hasn't, and that's impacted the football programs. And we think, as a coaching fraternity, we think that somewhere down the track, whilst it's affected the football programs, it'll end up affecting the football product. And we've probably already seen that a little bit with the decline of Indigenous players and the numbers in the game. It's just not the recruiting resources just aren't there. The welfare resources just aren't there. So you just see a slow decline. It's not intentional, but these things happen. It's the same with country kids in remote parts of the state. Maybe they get overlooked as well. So there's a whole heap of things that hopefully we can address as a competition post-season.
So are you planning already now for the bigger soft cap next season? And what's your biggest priority if you get the extra?
Oh well, I'm not really certain because we've been discussing the soft cap stuff for a number of years. Since it's the cuts were introduced, it must be 3 or 4 years ago now, is it? I can't ever remember when, but yeah, until we actually get the stamp of what's actually happening in that space, we'll make the judgment then. But if in terms of what it would do for our program, we'd absorb it over all those things that we spoke about, and just resource our whole football program a hell of a lot better.
Like you said a couple of weeks ago, that wins will start to be important. I mean, you've sort of had 1.5 in the last couple of weeks, some really promising signs. This week, I suppose, the toughest challenge in footy awaits you.
Yeah. Well, 2 weeks ago we came up against Brisbane and they were on top of the ladder at that point in time too. So in one side of it, it's a pretty daunting task. They're on top of the ladder for a reason. Collingwood they've played some great footy, but as I said, Brisbane are on top of the ladder too, and we're able to serve it right up to that side. So we want to look at it as a test for where we're at really, and see the progress that we've made, particularly over the last 4 weeks. We started the season okay, had 1 win and 2 losses, but we're competitive in those 3 games. But in the next 3 games, we were okay against Gold Coast, but just fell away really, really badly at 34-degree heat day in the Barossa. Really smacked it out of our players, and we just fell away really badly in the last part of that game, and had a really, really poor game against Carlton on Good Friday, which was really disappointing. So, but since then we've been able to recover. In our last 4 games, we've been really, really competitive. We've lost 2 by very, very small margins, and won 1 and drawn another. So, the validation for us and the improvement that we've made will be tested significantly against the top of the ladder side in Collingwood. So, we wanted to see where we're at and see whether the progress that we've made over the last 4 weeks is going to cut it against the top team on the ladder.
Is it a confidence game for the boys? I mean, singing this song must do so much for a young group to actually have some, have your hard labour bear fruit must do a great deal for them. Yeah,
that certainly helps. But as we said, we're trying as best we can with our supporters as well as our players, just educate them along the things that not just focus on wins and losses. It's it could be debutants, it could be amount of quarters that we've won and how many we've lost. Last week, for instance, was the first time we've won a first quarter for the year. So we celebrated that maybe a little bit too much a quarter time because we're no good after that. But yeah, there's just little things along the way that we need to celebrate. But ultimately, this game is about wins and losses, and your season or your future is going to be defined by that. But right now, I'm sure our supporters are understanding that there's some other metrics that are perhaps a little bit more important, but eventually it's all going to have to lead to a W next year.
Do you get someone to go head-to-head with Nick Dacos, or do you take more of a team approach?
Yeah, well, geez, it's hard because you put so much work into Nick, and then Pendles pops up, and same with behind the ball for us. You put a lot of work into Jamie Elliott, and then Bobby Hill will pop up, or Mychek will pop up. So pretty much you hope that that the work of your whole group will be able to do it. But at some point in time, I'm sure Nick's going to get off the chain, or same with their back end. Last week, Josh Dacos started on the bench, ended up being best on ground, especially the first half. But he started on the bench in the first part of the game, and Houston kicks the first goal of the game. So all their planning that they might have had with Josh Dacos all goes straight out the window as soon as he starts on the bench, and then Dan Houston pops up. So that's why they're top of the ladder side. They've got danger right across the ground, and we've got to be aware of it. In different stages, if it pops up and hurt us, we'll have to try and do something about it.
Bit of a quirk in the fixture with the double header at Marvel tomorrow. Is there any concern playing the second game on the ground?
No. I think the ground staff just do a terrific job, and not sure the logistics of how they get one group of supporters out and another one in, but they'll work that out. The ground management been doing these sorts of things for years and years. So all we need to worry about is just turn up at the time we usually turn up. A couple of hours before the game, get ourselves ready, and the surface, because it's under the roof, I don't think the surface will be impacted in any way. So looking forward to a great contest. From what I'm led to believe, it's a really strong crowd tomorrow. Every bit of exposure we get to big games like this is really valuable for our group, and it's going to really looking forward to the contest.
The Pies don't play that many games there. Does that give you some sort of edge tomorrow?
Well, I'd like to think so. We play probably more games at Marvel than what we do at the MCG, and they're the other way around. So I'd like to think that would give us some sort of advantage. But yeah, they're a good side, and as we've seen, I think they're the best performed of all the Melbourne-based sides. They're the best performed side on the road. So it doesn't seem to worry Collingwood where they play. And that's why they're such a professional unit. Really good sides win anywhere. Yeah, we won't be having that on the board tomorrow, as that's going to be our competitive advantage, the fact that we're playing at Marvel. We just need to play well wherever we play the opposition, and hopefully we can acquit ourselves well against the Pies tomorrow night.
What did you make of Bevo and Kane's interaction pre-game last night?
Well, I actually didn't see it. I've heard a little bit about it, but I don't know what's transpired or whatever. I was at the musical Footloose last night, would you believe? Doing a bit of dancing in the aisles, so I was with the Dale, but yeah, no, I didn't catch what's transpired, so probably not in a position to make comment on it.
Could I just ask one about that on a broader scope then, Paco? Like, do you think pre-game, do coaches get enough space from all their commitments? Like, it's probably hard enough getting 23 players ready to perform in a high-pressure environment. Do you think coaches get enough space then to deal with all their other commitments before they turn their attention to the game?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. I think game day, within reason, I think game day should be preserved for the preparation of the players and the coaches to do what they need to do. They're employed by their clubs to get out there and perform, and for the coaches it's just like, how can you best prepare your players to play at their best, and for the players it's just like, how can they get their mindset right to play a game of footy. Now there's some balances with that, when it's a couple of hours before the game, no drama, but as it gets closer to the game, you're wanting all your key staff and your players to actually have a pretty steely focus for what they need to do, and that's what the public want them to do too. They want the product on the field to be the best it can be, and we just need to make sure that that's not disturbed. So when that's pretty low level and fun type of interviews, no drama at all, with a bit of space between the start of the game and the interview. But if it becomes provocative in any way for either coaches or players, that's when there'll be kickback from the clubs and those concerned. And I think game day is a pretty precious time, because we're in performance mode really, and we want to put on the best product and the best show that we possibly can.
And just quickly, Jara wasn't out there. Is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine. I think it's been well reported that his nan passed away last week, and the funeral was yesterday. So he's back at Mooroopna, with his family, and he's come back this morning. He actually won't be too far away from coming in pretty soon, and he'll just do a little bit of work with our conditioning staff and get himself ready for the game tomorrow night. We need to speak to a couple of our coaches, because he's missed a couple of our meetings in preparation for the game. So, but he's right to go.